All right. Hello, Michael Dyer, the TCC program manager from the city of Oakland, and I am here with Khariyyah Shabazz. And Khariyyah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Khariyyah Shabazz. I'm here with Higher Ground Neighborhood Development Corporation, and I'm the project manager for our bike share program for the TCC project.
All right. So this is for the annual reporting. Just wanted to give a little insight on what's happening within the program for the last year. I'm just going to be asking a couple questions. Can you summarize some of the major grant reporting, grant guidelines or milestones completed in the last year?
Yes. So within the last year, we've had tremendous movement within this project that spread all through the community. So for instance, in January through February, that was the time where we really did a lot of project planning, lesson plan writing, and coming together as two organizations, Higher Ground as well as Scraper Bike Team. So this is where a lot of the manifesting within what visions did we want to see with the program was really able to come alive. So we were able to come up with an entire program schedule. We were able to create the entire lesson planning. And then most of all, we were able to create those partnerships in order to serve the students that we needed. So throughout that beginning time, that's when we did a lot of that grunt work, which talking to a lot of principals, speaking at community meetings, making sure that we are actually hitting the interests of the youth and of the community of what they wanted. And then most importantly, we were able to hire. So we were able to hire actual people within the community to come in and fit these different positions. For instance, we had to hire a bike mentor, we had to hire bike enrichment providers, a bike mechanic, all people of color, all people within the community, and it's diverse with male and female. The other wonderful milestone that we hit was hiring youth. So we're actually able to leverage funding from an entire program, a different program from Higher Ground. And we actually hire youth to actually come in and get trained and get prepared to help lead these lessons that we have provided. So we hired about 5 high school students and they jumped in without a hesitation. So within all this preparing and preparation, we were able to hit our target by starting in April. So we were able to kick off our first session in April, which was a huge success. So that's some of our huge milestones within the grant that we were able to hit, and then continue on with programming. And then we were able actually to recruit during this really difficult time. So that was some of the huge milestones that we hit for this grant period.
That's awesome. I mean, recruiting during a pandemic and working right through it, that's pretty amazing. I know that a lot of organizations and programs and things like that have seen delays, and you weren't delayed by that. You just like worked around it. That's amazing. Any sort of strategies out there that you used to be able to do that during the pandemic?
Of course. So we were able to adopt an entire COVID protocol. So throughout this time, students still needed to be served. So we still had access to a lot of our students. So we were able to create an entire COVID protocol, like I said. So that starts from check-in, that starts from checkout, that start from all PPE tools, requirement, material, equipment that we needed that required transitioning our classes from the school campuses to the actual parks that are right next door to the school campuses, so that we're outside, that we're somewhere where there's ventilation flowing. So it was just using a lot of those COVID protocols to ensure that we were doing this safely and still hitting our goals.
Nice, nice. Can you share any other success stories from the project area, and maybe anything that you've provided for media or any other applicable tools that you've used.
Yeah, so a few other success stories. So from our first session, we literally had students that never rode a bike before. So that was important for us. The goal is to get more butts on the bikes as they're, throughout the neighborhoods. So that was really important for us. We had one student, a gentleman, he was a fourth grader. Like I said, never rode a bike before. By week 4, he was riding a bike, and we have video of that actually before and after. The important part of that story is that our youth worker pulled him aside throughout those sessions and took the time with him to actually teach him how to ride along, how to stay on the bike. So that's definitely one of our success stories. Another success stories is that we had 2 brothers who lived in the community who had never been a part of a group, never been a part of a team the way we were, because we were a team. And we did our first bike ride and they said, whoa, we never even rode through here before. So that was huge, just hearing those stories of giving these students these different experiences. And then we're very intentional with these bike rides. Not only did that was their first time doing a group ride along through East Oakland, but we actually took them to a regional park, the MLK Shoreline, where they can continue on in getting all types of other environmental education that we embed in there. Other success stories is that we were able to continue, like I said, continue on programming during an entire pandemic. So we were able to get those partnerships with the local parks, Parks and Rec, and they were able to allow us access to their parks throughout the entire duration. A huge success story is the partnership that came out of Scraper Bike Team and Higher Ground. We're now joining forces as a team and going for more funding to expand our programming, to continue this solidarity of, bringing these experiences to the students of East Oakland. So those were some huge success stories that we wanted to make sure we mentioned. And then Michael, nice. What was the second part of that question?
Any sort of like media links or anything like that had been created?
Right. So that's the part that we're working on right now. So we're taking this step by step. The first part was getting program going, being consistent, getting recruitment, and establishing those partnerships. Now we're focusing on marketing. So marketing and letting people know what's really going on. A few strategies that we've used to market was joining forces with the Black Culture Zone. We went ahead, set up shop. They have outdoor play days in the Coma markets. We went ahead and tabled at those events to ensure that we're trying to give the flyers out to hit as many people as possible. Another avenue, another way that we're using to market is that we teamed up with the local media program within East Oakland called Reels, REELS. And they basically, they teach youth how to direct, produce, and how to make films. So a part of this project going into, now we're in our session 3. And then as we go into session 4, we're going to be recording what happens here. We're going to be recording those moments. We're going to be making sure that we bring life to this project and to ensure that our stamp is made within these neighborhoods that we're serving, and especially that's embedded within our students. So that's the next step. The next step is to continue to create media, to create images, and to create videos so that we can ensure that we're contacting all of our local news stations so they know what's going on.
Nice, nice. Can you describe any lessons learned in the past year, specifically highlighting any lessons that may have helped current grantees of the TCC partnership or future applicants?
Yeah, so lessons learned, for sure, the lessons learned is to ensure that you are able to adapt, to make sure that you're able to be flexible for whatever may come at you, and to ensure that you keep an open communication with your partnerships to ensure that you get through that process. So the biggest lessons learned is everything we probably knew about programming, threw it out the door a little bit, right? Because everything was different now within this new, within the pandemic, of how we really serve our youth in that close to close interaction and our expectations, and ensuring that we still get that message. So the biggest lesson was to adapt and to make sure that we were flexible and to keep an open mind, to ensure that our message and our lessons and our practices were still getting across. So just be prepared to adapt to anything at any moment.
Nice. That is great feedback for anybody going from into TCC implementation, specifically in the youth enrichment area. So, so the next set of questions are kind of designed to get a little bit of feedback for the SGC process. And can you discuss any challenges experienced while implementing the grant? I think we heard a little bit of it about going through the pandemic and things like that, but maybe any sort of like internal structures that needed to be created or adjusted to be able to take this project on.
Yeah, well, a huge challenge we were all concerned was recruitment, was the youth. So initially the grant was set up so that we're already within the after school programming, but hey, there's no after school programming because there's no school. So one thing that we did was we made partnerships with other youth programs in those communities so that we were ensured that we would get the students to show up. So that was a huge difference. That was a huge part that we had to adjust, that we had to fix, that we had to ensure that everything will still go along. So making those partnerships directly with those other community organizations that are already in there to ensure that we were still going to be able to get youth to serve was a huge key for us. And that's something that we had to go ahead and think of on the spot almost.
Nice. And feel free to shout out any of those partnerships.
Yeah. So yeah, we partnered with one of our partners, Curtis. He has a program and it's an outdoor adventure program. So that was huge. BACR held us down. They had a programming that was on the Ira Jenkins. So that was huge. So those were definitely two orgs that came through with the students.
Nice, nice. That's very, very creative, and it sounds like a good model, you know, to operate with, even without the pandemic, and having some solidarity with youth programs that are in the community, and leveraging them.
Yep. So that was one. So another issue that came up was, when you're thinking about this programming, things are supposed to just magically happen, right? You just appear, but no, of course, there's people doing every single little thing. So it was very important for the Scraper Bike team to actually inform me of everything that had to be done. They did a really great job as far as materials and tools and everything. So, but one thing that we didn't think about is transporting. So we had to get real creative when it was time to go to 2 different locations or 3 different locations. And we had to transport bikes. We had to transport tools. We had to transport it all to a few locations. So what do? We tapped in with community members. So we had a local resident who offered his truck for that first session, and that allowed us to transport bikes from one location to another each week. So that was really important, and that was really helpful. Just having that strong, tight knit community was really essential in order to make sure that that still happens. So that was something that, you know, we still had to continue on, and we're still working on that. We're still brainstorming on how we're going to continue that, because although our neighborhood guy, he came through, but you know, we don't want to put all the work on someone like that. That's a lot of stress. So that's another little issue that we may have had.
Right, right. Yeah, transportation, that's huge. And do you want to describe any concerns related to administering the project and working with the state?
Um, I guess our only concern was how flexible would they be for things to not happen that were out of our control. But like I said, we did the best that we can do to come up with solutions for those issues. We didn't just throw it out and say, "Hey, we're not able to complete this." No, we just came up with a different way of providing a solution. But we haven't had any issues with working directly with the state or with the city with any of this.
Nice, nice. And I know you mentioned some of the leverage projects that you had brought in other funding and things like that, other programs to support the project. Do you want to explain a little more about that or expand on it at all?
Yeah. So
All
our
right.
workforce development program, it's been going on for about, I'm going to say we've been funded for about 6 years, 6 to 7 years with that program. We started out getting funded with that, and that's how we hire our middle and high school students. And it's all about college and career readiness. And then we actually provide them jobs on the day-to-day basis. And they work within our programs, or I place them somewhere where they're more suited with their talents and their needs. So we started off getting funded with that from Alameda County for about 3 to 4 years. That funding, of course, ended as soon as the pandemic hit, actually. And we were actually able to pick up with another partner in East Oakland, Roots. So Roots Health Center, it's myself, Plan and Justice, Rainy Park Leadership Council, and Roots. And we've been working together for the past, this is our third year going on, and they're actually helping funding our workforce development program. And that's what pays our youth. So that was huge, being able to use other East Oakland community members and programs, organizations to ensure that we're still reaching out and meeting our goals to the best of our ability, for sure.
All right, nice. Well, it's been really nice to get little story about what's happening over with the Higher Ground and Scraper Bike Team program. Thank you for spending the time to do this. And is there anything that you would like to say in closing?
Yeah, so like I said, the partnership process has been phenomenal. We're now going to ensure that we're embedding all of our other partners within our program. For instance, our next bike ride, we're stopping at Planning Justice, so the students can see what's going on over there on our way out. We're ensuring that community members, teachers, principals, and everyone is aware of what's going on, and that they're all invited to our bike rides to actually see the solidarity. It's very important for us, for students to see themselves as represented within the neighborhoods that they live in, and that they see other adults that are there to guide them through and to expose them and to ensure that we're all working together as a team. None of this can be possible without the youth. None of this can be possible without the partnerships. And of course, none of this can be possible without the collaborations of everybody coming together. So that's huge for us. We encourage anyone to please come out and come on our bike rides and see how we do it the Scraper Bike way.
Nice. All right. Thank you.